Hey, Chamber members, Alan Waters here, your Director of Marketing and Communications for the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce and your Words of Wisdom podcast. Today, I am joined by...
Abbie Gill.
So, Abbie, this is an interesting one for me because listeners, too, they're used to hearing from businesses. They're used to hearing from those kind of things. We're doing something different. You're here today representing leadership in RV as a dean. So, before we dive into anything else, I guess tell us what Leadership NRV is for those who've never heard of it.
Sure. So Leadership NRV is a program that is held through the Chamber, and it runs for 11 months. We start in February, and then graduation is held in December. So the program is designed for individuals who may be business owners themselves or may work for a business in the community. And the program really provides the individuals with a wealth of knowledge in the leadership space. So we focus a lot about the community. We focus a lot about different tools you can put in your leadership toolbox, and really just teaches the class about the importance of knowing your community to be able to lead in your community.
So the question that we start with everyone is, what does success mean to you? And because you're here for Leadership NRV, my question is, what does leadership mean to you specifically through the lens of someone either going through Leadership NRV or for someone on the other side of Leadership NRV?
Mm-hmm. So I went through Leadership NRV in 2020. I went through in a really strange year. So the program looked a little different for me. But what I was hoping to gain out of it was experience, not just for something I could put on my resume, but something that was really just real, something that I could actually implement in my own business and in my own interactions with community members. So I think as a participant, but also as a dean, really the goal is to graduate from the class with just a wealth of knowledge in how to interact, lead, manage, and support your community and local businesses.
So through that, why do you think that's important for people to learn as they're dealing with the community versus, I'm going to play devil's advocate a lot through this episode because spoiler warning, I'm a big advocate of the program, but I'm also going through the program next year. So there's a lot I don't know, a lot that I'm going to find out. But why is it important through the lens of what leadership is versus someone not going through leadership? What will they learn that they wouldn't otherwise learn?
I think the program provides a lot of opportunity to learn the behind the scenes of aspects of our community that you wouldn't necessarily get as a citizen. So for example, on our infrastructure day, we toured the Blacksburg Transit Facility. We toured the new water facility. Well, we didn't this year, but we did when I went through the program. So you get a look at a lot of the different and very important pieces of our community: healthcare, education, government and recreation, that as a normal citizen, you just don't have the opportunity to necessarily learn about. You could, I'm sure you could go into the Water Authority building and ask a question, but being able to have the program leaders connect you with the staff at, various locations, you really get an inside look at the community. And the reason that's so important in Leadership NRV and just in leadership as a whole is to be able to advocate for the betterment of your community. You have to know and you have to have the knowledge about where your community has those bright spots, but maybe where they have some shortfalls.
That was actually my next question, is that how does community and leadership interact? And I fully agree. It's not always about learning this for the first time as much as it is if you're looking at this through the lens of a leader. Those are the things that you're not going to get through just a general tour. If you're going through a tour as a citizen, I doubt that anyone is going to be like, these are our faults.
Right.
So through leadership, and I'm kind of skipping around in some of the questions I sent you ahead of time, but there's the Legacy Project. Tell me a little bit about the Legacy Project and how you're taking those skills and applying it firsthand.
Sure. So, for some background, the Legacy Project is a project that the class works on where they get partnered with a nonprofit, and the nonprofit comes and speaks to the class and says, hey, this is our mission. This is what we do. This is what maybe we would like to do, but can't for reasons 1, 2, and 3. Maybe these are things we hope to implement in the future. These are some areas where we really could use some help and guidance. And here is everything on a platter. Please help us. And so the class comes in and combs through with intention and with the understanding that we're not going to be able to fix all of your problems. So we're going to maybe pick a couple things that us as a class can work on. And the goal is to provide the nonprofit with some type of playbook that they can, implement, they can take pieces of and implement. They might say thank you, but no thank you. But the goal is to provide them with something to, provide improvement for whatever their nonprofit is and whatever their mission is. And so that's really a portion of the leadership program is the Legacy Project.
And so it's largely an advisory type role that you're taking on there, not so much as it's not, I've gone through leadership NRV. This was our Legacy Project. I'm now on the board or something like that.
Right. Yeah. We really advise against joining the board and just saying, what if we all just donate $100? It's really a way to look at the entire program or the entire nonprofit and say, these are some actionable items that you can do. And if after I graduate from the program, I love your nonprofit so much, I want to be a part of it, that's a conversation you can have once you graduate the class. But that's not the intention in the middle of the program.
Right. Yeah. Through that, how does someone, any nonprofit that may be listening, how do they get on the board to potentially be a Legacy Project in the future?
So there's an application process that is available, I think, in the fall. We'll have to confirm the dates, but we encourage nonprofits to apply. We do encourage them to be chamber members, but it's not a requirement. And so the nonprofit, if they think that they are a good candidate potentially, they would want to go through the application process. There are some things for them to consider. Are they willing to have 30 or so other people give them ideas? Are they willing to be receptive to them? And, we're not saying that you have to implement any of the things that we provide you, but are you willing to be agreeable and listen and receptive to, some of the goals or whatever it may be that the class comes up with? So they have to also be willing to do some work as well.
And from my understanding, there's a certain amount of days that you are going to be involved directly with the class. There's also some other extracurriculars, things like the business showcase, others that's involved. So it's not something someone should come in with the idea of, great, I'm the Legacy Project. I'm it. I'll see you guys in November.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of work on their side too. We pick a couple class liaisons. So you don't have 30 or so people messaging you. However, you do have a couple people in the class that might send you a lengthy email a couple times a month. Hey, we're just trying to get some more information about this. Can you kind of give us some guidance about why you're doing that? And we have some follow-up questions for this. Can you come in? It might be easier if we meet in person. So a lot of times I know nonprofits having actual physical people able to work in the nonprofit is a shortfall by no fault of their own, but it's sometimes hard. And so it really is to be the Legacy Project recipient, you do really have to make sure that you consider the work that you'll have to put in on your nonprofit side.
So by the end of Leadership NRV, you've learned more about the community. You've learned more about this nonprofit in general, but like really how nonprofits kind of work, organize, how that structures go. What does someone take with that knowledge? Is there something that you would like to, in particular, see as a dean, a graduate immediately go do or take that back to their company? Is there anything on those that through Leadership NRV, the deans and those in charge are looking at? Great, these are my goals isn't the right word, but these are my things that I want to see out of the people who go through this class.
I don't think that we necessarily have a set milestone that graduates reach. I think a lot of people take this class for different reasons, and we have so many different industries in the class that you really could see it going a million different ways. But, you might have someone that their goal is to be the CEO of their bank, and you might have another person that wants to be a stay-at-home parent, both incredibly important roles in our community. And they both can gain very valuable experience through the program. So I would say it's not necessarily about a certain step that they should take or that I hope that they take. I want to see them succeed in, kind of back to the first question, whatever manner success looks like to you. And, some people might put it on their resume. Some people might get that promotion, and some people might join the town council because they've been so active in the community through the program that they see opportunities for themselves. So really just taking advantage of those opportunities that they might discover during class, that would be incredible.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, I want to talk about the process really behind leadership and what goes into it beyond just what we've kind of already breached. The objective of Leadership New River Valley is to assist in the development of community leaders by providing participants from diverse backgrounds with an understanding of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and issues facing the community. The program will also foster the development of leadership skills and techniques in an environment that encourages the establishment of new relationships and communication networks between the participants. For more information about Leadership New River Valley, go to bit.ly/leadershipnrv. That's bit.ly/leadershipnrv. Back to the episode. All right, we are back, and so I want to dive into the process behind leadership. First, from the planning perspective, because as a dean, I know leadership meets once a month. It's usually the third Thursday of every month. It's an all-day thing. For those listening, just so they're not like 11-month course. Oh my God, it is one day. It's a jam-packed day. But what goes into it from the perspective of the dean and the other side? Because look, a one-day event sounds like, oh, that's not that much, but that's not the case.
Right. Yeah. It is one jam-packed day a month. And I should say also, outside of our class, our in-person class time, there's also readings that you should do to prepare for class. And then you have the legacy project, and that's all worked on outside of class time. So it is not just a 1 day per month commitment. But what that process looks like. So to start, Leadership NRV is an ever-evolving program. We always want to be improving. And so what we'll do is we'll look back and say, okay, for example, Education Day. The last few years we've had Bob Smith and Jane Smith come and present, and they were great. They were incredible. They were super engaging. We would love to have them come back. We've also had Bob Smith Jr., and he might not be the most captivating speaker. Is there someone else in this education space that might be better suited for the class? So we'll kind of look back and kind of evaluate how previous sessions have gone and adjust where we see fit. Was this day too busy? Was it too much that the class didn't get a chance to really digest anything? So always kind of looking back. So that way, when we move forward, we have a better sense of what we're planning. So like I kind of mentioned, we like to invite speakers back that have been super captivating. If they are not available for whatever, if they're traveling, they're in a different position, whatever the reason may be, I like to ask them for their recommendations for someone that could maybe take their place. I always like to ask the experts, hey, do you know anyone else in your field that could speak on this topic and speak to these, specific things. So we kind of just start building out the day based on how it's been in previous years and change and tweak. We are implementing a, however many hours, it depends on what the speaker's availability is, but a, couple hour, like specifically leadership topic presentation. In previous years, we've touched on the kind of leadership qualities, kind of more stereotypical things you would consider that, or you would think that you would experience in a leadership program. And we're so community focused in ours that we've, tried to evolve more recently and make sure we're really including the leadership technique piece that, public speaking, kind of just some things, like I said, that are more stereotypical that you would expect to see, and kind of intertwining that into our community-based program as well. So reaching out to everyone, the logistics are kind of crazy. You are inviting anywhere from 5 to 15 speakers to come. And so you're matching timelines, you're coordinating locations, you have to have a caterer. We provide snacks and beverages and coffee for the class. And so we rely heavily on our chamber staff and also on the team. We're a team of multiple co-deans. And so relying on each other really helps us get to that finish line.
And what does the breakdown look like for those looking at the class in terms of the topics and those things? Because obviously no day is the same.
Right.
I mean, there is no thing that I could be like, what does your typical day look like? But in terms of some of those, we've talked a little bit about education day, infrastructure day. What are the days and how often do those switch, change, and evolve as well?
So the general day, like the general topic has not changed from since I went through the program in 2020. So we have history and culture, public safety, infrastructure, government and recreation, education, healthcare, and I know I'm forgetting some, but really kind of focusing on the most important aspects of what makes up a community. And so the overall theme of the day doesn't change, but hasn't changed throughout the years of the program, but each month is a different theme. And so, we will meet at venues and hear from speakers that are in line with those themes. Healthcare Day, for example, we have visited both Lewis Gale and Correllian facilities and get a tour and hear from doctors. And so, like I said, each day is really customized to fit the theme.
And then taking the process kind of, I'm not going to say a step back because I feel like a lot of this is happening at the same time, but looking at the process for someone looking to take the class, what does that involve? What does that entail? Kind of from the moment of, hey, I'm interested, all the way through, hey, I'm in the class.
Yeah. So we have an application process that you fill out the application and send it to the chamber late fall, early winter. So be on the lookout for that. So you apply. One thing that's really important is making sure that your employer is on board. I know a lot of people in the class are their own boss because we have a lot of business owners that take the class, but that's not always the case. And so making sure your employer is in agreement with the time commitment that you're willing to sign up for. So you go through the application process, you sit in an interview, and in the interview, we really stress the time commitment, and just so that way everyone is on the same page as to what to expect. We go through the interview process. It's not super lengthy. And then you'll hear back. We try to accept about 35 candidates each class. And then the first session starts in February for the opening session. And so you'll hear, by the end of January, you've done your interview and you should hear something by the end of January to get ready for your class in February.
And it's not something people, beyond paying for the course, because it does, of course, have a fee. It's not something people need to be expecting like, oh, I'm also buying textbooks or any of those things, right? Because that's all provided.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Once you've paid for your fee to join the class, you'll have all of the materials you'll need. Like we talked about earlier with the legacy project, we really don't want you donating money and spending time with them until you've left the class on an individual basis. So once you've paid the fee to join the class, you are set for the year and you're given your books and materials.
And so once we get into that, what's like the attendance policy in some of those? Because it is very important that you're there. I mean, look, we're talking once a month for 11 months.
Right.
So it's really tough when you can't make it. But there is some leeway, right?
Right. Of course. There's always extenuating circumstances. We know people go on vacation. We know that there's a million things. Everyone's busy. So you're allowed to miss 2 classes. You do have to make up the classes. So you'll meet with one of the deans outside of the scheduled sessions, just to make sure that they're all caught up on the materials. But 2 sessions are allowed to be missed. We also expect that the class members attend the business after hours held by the chamber. This is really to allow the class to have time to truly get to know each other. The days are so jam-packed that it's really hard. And the class wants to, like, you're with your friends, you become really good friends. And so you want to chit chat and hang out and laugh and talk. But we have speakers volunteering their time. It's not appropriate. So we really want and encourage the class to go to the business after hours. And this allows for them to, really have that friend time.
So we've mentioned deans a lot. We haven't talked necessarily too much about that, but looking at, all right, great. It is November. I'm at the final class. And what does that look like for someone that's gone through the program? What is the graduation piece and from there beyond? The
final retreat is really fun. And I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, so I will try to be vague. But we play a really fun version of essentially community Monopoly, where you are running your own town and you have to figure out what can you prioritize? What are you okay not prioritizing? You take everything that you've learned about the community, about leadership, and really apply it in that exercise. We do this beautiful thing where you tell your class, I don't know if I'm trying to decide if I can spoil this or not. I won't spoil it, but I'll just say that it's the final retreat's a really great time because you just kind of close the chapter with your classmates. You reflect a lot about the year and what you've learned. You can look around and say, all of these people, we all are here with the same goal in mind. And in the same breath have completely different paths that we all want to take, but we're here together and we've made these great connections. So the final retreat's really an opportunity for the class to celebrate themselves. And then graduation is, a great ceremony. And it's just another time for us as leadership to celebrate the class.
Mm-hmm. And then it's generally around, I say this time, knowing we're recording this in July, but we're looking for deans right now for the next 2 years. What does that look like? Who can be a dean and why would someone want to be a dean?
Yeah. So I've loved being a dean. It's so much fun to be on this end of the program. Requirement wise, I am assuming, but I should be fact checked, that you have to have gone through the program yourself. You really should go through the program just to get a better understanding of what the program looks like from the student side. We work with a team of deans. And so the nice thing is, while we do rely on each other for each month planning, typically we kind of sign up for a couple different sessions and say, all right, I'm going to plan history and culture, education, and infrastructure. And so those are the sessions that I'm focusing on. I'm always available to help my co-deans whenever they need, some extra support. But for the most part, we're focusing on just a few sessions to plan instead of all of us planning all of the sessions. Mm-hmm. And so the time commitment it's really not huge. I'm able to do it with my 8 to 5, with the understanding that I do have to miss work sometimes. And that's an agreement I have with my employer. So that would be something to check in with your employer if you're considering. But it's really fun. It's really valuable. And it's just really great to watch the class. In the beginning, you've got people that are shy and it's quiet because people haven't got to know each other yet. And just kind of the way the class evolves into great connections and good friendship. It's really enjoyable on this end.
I think one of the things I enjoy most is just seeing how many variety of people are in the course and in the class and why they're coming into it. Because, we see sometimes it's people that are new to the community and want to use it as how I'm learning more about the community. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we've seen people who are like on the precipice of taking on more of that leadership role in their business or the company they work with, that want to make sure that they're there, or I guess get some reassurance. I am I'm interested to see what I will happen. I mean, I say this knowing I still have to go through the interview process. I might not make the cut.
True. I don't know, Alan.
So like that's there. But I talked to Steve. One of the things for my professional development that I want to see more of is I need to work on my delegation aspects where it's not me being able to take on all the tasks. And so I'm not going to say I'm looking forward to the delegating because I don't know how to do it yet, but I am looking forward to getting that aspect in there of like, all right, great. I have other people in here that I know I can rely on and having to force myself to take a step back.
Yeah. One of the things I loved when I went through the class as a student and then I did it again as a dean is the personality assessments. And I really enjoy it because I mean, people truly, they learn different ways, they lead different ways, and things that I do are going to be completely different in the way that you do them and the way that Marianne and Whitney do them. And so one of the things that I really took from that first opening session when we did the personality assessments is, okay, so I do things my way. And even though I like to think sometimes that I might always be right, that doesn't mean my way is always the right way. Right. And so really, recognizing that everyone is different and that means that they lead differently and they learn differently, that in itself on day one was a really nice reminder for me.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that I always struggle with those, I guess, exams and things, mostly because I'm not this is my zodiac sign kind of person, but I also really enjoy getting into at least having that day of seeing, all right, great. This is why someone approaches it this way, more so than like using this as, oh, great. You're this kind of person. You're going to be over there. You're going to be that.
Yeah.
It's always different. The working genius is another one that I feel like, really cool to see that.
Yeah. And that's a really good point that you just mentioned, that I'm not going to treat you this way because you are a 1, I'm a 7, so I act this way, and you're a 1, so I'm going to treat you this way. It's not a blanket free pass to treat someone a specific way. It's really more for yourself to think, if I interact with this person this way and they perceive it and then they react to me, I might be taking their reaction in a way that they absolutely do not mean. And it might be because they are, a 7, then they just might be more straightforward. And I might be a little sensitive to someone being super straightforward. And so it's really just kind of helps give a roadmap, but not an excuse to treat people a certain way.
I feel like that's a huge part of leadership anyway, is figuring out that moment. I think this was such an eye-opening thing for me when I was learning my management and leadership style of, it's not up to someone else to make adjustments to fit what I expect. It's up to me as a leader to change to the expectations of what my employees are, the people I'm working for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, is there anything else leadership NRV you want people to know? Anything specific that you think we've left out?
I think we've covered everything. I would just reiterate that it is an absolutely wonderful program. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on the Dean team, but we really, really care and want to put out the best program possible. We are always looking for feedback. We are always looking to improve. And we can't do any of that without the Chamber and their support. So it's just really something that I'm grateful to have gone through and that I would always, continue to promote.
And in turn, this is not something that we can do without the many, many sponsors, the many, many volunteers.
Absolutely.
There's so much that goes in this program that the staff, on our side, we're very thankful for, because I'm not providing food for it's one of those things.
We have sponsors giving us catering, giving us venues. We have speakers that volunteer their time, locations that give us free tours. We could not do this without the entire community's support.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much, Abbie, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for listening in and learning more about leadership in RV. The timing of this, I want to give a dedication for this episode out to P. Buckley Moss, who just passed today. So P. Buckley Moss was a big part of Arts Day this particular year. So I'd like to dedicate that to her. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back in just a few weeks with the next episode. In the meantime, go out, connect, engage, and prosper.